Robert Craig, just an old man reading from his Bible. I'm the old man. This is the Bible I read from right here. It's the Holy Bible, King James Version. It occurred to me recently with the things that are going on in the Mideast that people get all shook up about stuff like that. And every time something happens over on in the other hemisphere, people get concerned that maybe the end is approaching. And I remember a few of the wars that we've been involved in the past decade or so, or two. Every time the death toll of one of our wars would reach 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever, they'd say, well, it just can't go on like this. The world's not sustainable. Like it can't go on. The Lord's got to put an end to it. People are sure fond of telling the Lord what he's got to do. But my parents, they remember World War II, and there was periods in that conflict, the Allies against the Axis of evil, and there were times when we lost 30,000 men a month, and the population was probably about half what it is now. So percentage-wise, picture that. If we lost 60,000 men in 1 month, and we had that spirit of determination that generation had, that we would see it through to the end, no matter the cost, because the principles were that important. But when Ukraine got into this, they got invaded, people thought that would have to be it, that tied in somehow. And now this thing's going on with Iran. Well, Iran, I remember a much different Iran. I was stationed at a training base in Mississippi. We had Iranians in our barracks. They were there serving the Shah of Iran, and things have sure changed. We liked a lot of those guys. There were some of them in my barracks, and I remember their names and their faces, and they were like us in many ways. But anyways, the things that are going on over there started a long time ago. Some people say it started 47 years ago with the fall of the Shah. But it actually started long before that. I want to go back to Daniel. Daniel was with Israel in the captivity. And see if I can find that. Yeah, with this thumb index here. Daniel was there at the beginning of the captivity, and he and his 3 friends were favorites of the first king that they served under in Babylon. And Daniel had become an old man in the 70 years he was there. He'd likely been a teenager when he first started. But he's very old at this point. Let's look at Daniel chapter 9, verse 1. In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by the books the number of the years. In other words, he knew this because he read it. Where of the word of the Lord, where the word of, whereof, that's one word, whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. Now, why do I bring up Jeremiah? Well, Daniel got a vision and a revelation that there would be 70 weeks determined upon the people in the next chapter, I think in the 9th chapter. But I just want us to realize here that before there was a 70 weeks after Babylon, there was 70 weeks before Babylon and the 70-year captivity. Let's go to Jeremiah 25 for a little bit of background here. Jeremiah 25 and about 10 or 11, somewhere in there. Jeremiah 25. Yeah, here we go. Let's go to verse 8. Well, no, let's just dip in here at verse 7. Jeremiah is explaining about the captivity that's coming up for Jerusalem and Judah. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment, and those nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. And it shall come to pass when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, saith the Lord, for their iniquity, and the land of the Chaldeans, and will make it a perpetual desolation. Well, let's go to the book of 2 Chronicles. That's one we don't go to very often. Second Chronicles. Oh, yeah. Second Chronicles. In chapter 36, it's the last chapter, right before the book of Ezra, which covers the return from the captivity of the 70 years. Let's go about to, let's see, this is 2 Chronicles 36, verse 17. This is talking about how God used the king of the Chaldees as a tool to punish the people of Israel, because of the way they had treated the land. See, they had not observed the Sabbath years. They were supposed to live off the land, the produce of the land, for 6 years, and the seventh was a Sabbath, a year of rest, that the land would lie fallow. And this was supposed to help the land, I think, keep its it was part of the natural cycle. It would maintain the sustainability of the land for the farming and all that. So he says here in verse 17, therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young man or maiden, old man, or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand, and all the vessels of the house of the Lord, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king, and of his princes, and all these he brought to Babylon. And he burnt the house of God, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. And them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were servants to him and his sons, until the reign of the king of Persia, to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah. This is to give you a little more depth of what Jeremiah had said about their 70 years and the reason for them. To fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths. For as long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath to fulfill 70 years. Well, if you take 70 years and count them as Sabbaths for other weeks, other parts of the weeks of years, you'll come up with a total of 490 years. And that's just, it just kind of lays out a pattern. And the Babylonian captivity is a kind of a central pivot point, really, because there's another 490 years to come after for Israel's prophetic time. And he has said that he would take them away 70 years and would punish them. Now let's go back to Daniel. Now, I'm looking for this time. This time I'm looking for chapter 9. Now, I'm just going to read a little bit of this because it's a long prayer. It's a prayer of Daniel's confessing the sins of the nation. Daniel 9, verse 1, in the first year of Darius, son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. We're recapping here. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by the books the number of years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. So, we know that when Ezra returned to Jerusalem, he did find it in desolation indeed. They had to rebuild. And we'll skip on down to verse 20. And whilst I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people, Israel, and presenting my supplication before the Lord my God for the holy mountain of my God, yea, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore understand the matter and consider the vision. 70 weeks are determined upon the people, thy people, and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy. Now these 70 weeks are weeks of years, another 490 years. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The city, the streets shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And if you want to see more light on that, read Ezra and Nehemiah. They worked with a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other. So, 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Well, 62 is just an old-fashioned way of saying 62. Add the 7 to that, and you get 69 weeks. Now, the next verse, you have to use a little bit of, I don't know, I wouldn't say reading between the lines, but you have to pay attention to what it's really saying. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war desolations are determined. Now, there's a lot to separate out here. After the 62 weeks, that is the same 62 weeks that comes in verse 25. There was 7 weeks and then 62. So we're talking about the 62 weeks that comes after the 7 weeks. In other words, after 69 weeks. Now, it talks about Messiah being cut off, but not for himself. Well, in hindsight, we know now that that refers to Christ, and he was cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come. We've always, a long time, I've heard it taught that the people of the prince that shall come will be, he'll have to be of the Roman Empire, because the people that destroyed the city and the sanctuary was the Roman Empire. They did that in 70 AD. So it's going to be a prince of that people. They are the people of the prince that shall come. And I think it's pretty much universally agreed this prince that shall come is going to be the Antichrist, because of what he does in that 70th week. I always heard it taught that referred to the Roman Empire because of what they did in 70 AD, but there was a time, there was another people that destroyed the city and sanctuary, and it was another empire. It wasn't the Roman Empire. It was one that was more closely affiliated with Babylon, to be exact, and it was the caliphate of the Ottoman Empire. They also could lay claim that they had destroyed the city and the sanctuary, and they had their 2 divisions. They were Islam. They had their 2 divisions. As soon as Muhammad died, you had a split within Islam right from the start. One was a peaceful group and the other was radical. It's been that way right from the start in Islam. So the one world religion might not be Catholicism after all. It might actually be Islam. I only recently became aware there's a long-standing school of thought that goes in this direction, that Jerusalem is, the 70th week is not waiting for an Antichrist from Rome, the Roman Empire, but one from the Caliphate. That's just something to think about. But I can see right now we're going to need to look at this a little further, but we're going to have to take a part 2 on this to really get it stated, I think. For now, though, let's just say, may the Lord bless this reading of His Holy Scripture. And thanks for watching.